Welcome back to the fourth part of our series on President Park Chung-hee's assassination. This is Sanjay Sharma and you are tuned to our special program, Reading Korean Rhythm. In the first three parts, we have covered various assassination attempts on President Park's life, the profiles of the people involved in the incident, the critical dots responsible for this incident. Today, we'll talk about the fourth dot, the final trigger. So the question we left last time unanswered was about the significance of the 7 p.m. news. The anxiousness for the 7 p.m. news was to catch glimpses of growing protests in Busan and Masan, especially after the expulsion of the opposition leader Mr. Kim Yong-sam from the National Assembly. While President Park wanted to suppress these demonstrations ruthlessly and arrest Mr. Kim Yong-sam, the soft approach of his KCIA head Kim Jae-Kyu and his reiteration that it was not merely a student demonstration but a larger civilian movement against the regime must have further aggravated President Park's frustration. The way communication was evolving and the way the president was responding to his explanations, Kim Jae-Kyu sensed that his days as KCIA head might be numbered and that he might be replaced anytime soon, most probably with the security chief Cha Ji-chul, the one who was determined to downgrade him. In the news, the US ambassador was meeting Mr. Kim Yong-sam, which irritated President Park. He resented. 정제도 아닌 사람과 무슨 이야기를 한다는 것인지 모르겠다. Meaning, why this ambassador was meeting someone who is actually nobody, who's not in the parliament. So, he was kind of upset about it. KCIA chief Kim Jae-Kyu, who would normally not drink because of his liver cirrhosis, not only drank all the alcohol given to him, but also poured for himself when his glass was empty amidst the heated discussion. Presidential Secretary Kim Ki-won, who was trying his best, albeit unsuccessfully, to tone down the arguments, observed that the president scolded KCIA chief Kim Jae-Kyu like a child in front of these young women. And finally, it seems, the ultimate blow came when, supporting President Park's insistence that the civilian protests should be crushed heavy-handedly, Security Chief Cha Ji-chul, adding fuel to the mood and atmosphere, reportedly stated. 각하, 맞습니다. 캄보디아에서도 300만 명 죽었다는데 우리가 100만이나 200만 정도 희생시키는 거 뭐가 문제가 되겠습니까? Meaning, if the Cambodia government can continue in power despite killing 3 or 5 million people, how would it matter if 1 or 2 million Koreans were to be killed? Take a moment and let that sink in. Here is a top advisor suggesting that it is perfectly all right to kill civilians in millions if that is needed to maintain the grip over power. It appears this is what made KCIA chief Kim Jae-Kyu lose his calm once and for all. At this critical juncture, we need to deal with another management issue on behavioral science and communication skills. Do you think KCIA chief Kim Jae-Kyu overreacted to the Cambodia remark, or given the context, any sensible and sensitive being would have reacted in the same manner? Secondly, would you expect such remarks and behavior from someone who is known to be highly religious and the epitome of filial piety, caring son and righteous soul miles away from lowly pleasures of alcohol and women? This reminds me of a highly controversial Stanford prison experiment in which Professor Philip Zimbardo attempted to demonstrate that given a conducive environment with authority and diluted sense of responsibility, even nice people have the propensity to be engaged in atrocities and sadistic pleasures. Do you think this observation may apply in case of Security Chief Cha Ji-chul? I would like to borrow the insights of experts handling air crash investigations. One of their most notable and unanimously agreed upon observation is disasters don't just happen. There is always a chain of events. Our story indicates ditto. First, the humiliation by Security Chief Cha Ji-chul by not letting him fly in the same helicopter with the president. Second, President Park scornfully questioning his caliber and competency in handling Puma protests and insulting him, the KCIA chief, in front of the women. And finally, overt disdain for the value of ordinary citizens in the Cambodia remark. The stage was all set, the environment was all ripe for Kim Jae-Kyu to explode any moment. Now we are inching towards the climax. As the ambience became way too stressful, President Park, looking at singer Shim Soo-won, asked her for his favorite song, Kutte Kusaram. Melodious voice and guitar, he also started humming the lyrics with her. Thereafter, he asked for encore coq. This encore is nothing but encore in French. The word is used frequently in Korea whenever one wishes to say once more. Instead of une fois encore, they will just say encore. She sang 눈물 젖은 투만강 or Tear-drenched Duman River. Since this episode revolves around this nostalgic 그때 그 사람, here are the lyrics and the translation for you. 비가 오면 생각나는 그 사람, 언제나 말이 없던 그 사람, 사랑의 괴로움을 몰래 감추고 떠난 사람 못 잊어서 울던 그 사람. 그 어느 날 차 안에서 내게 물었지. 세상에서 제일 슬픈 게 뭐냐고. 사랑보다 더 슬픈 거 청이라며 고개를 떨구던 그때 그 사람. 외로운 병실에서 기타를 쳐주고 위로하며 다정했던 사랑한 사람. 안녕이란 단 한마디 말도 없이 지금은 어디에서 행복할까? 어쩌다 한 번쯤은 생각해 줄까? 지금도 보고 싶은 그때 그 사람. 외로운 내 가슴에 살며시 다가와서 언제라도 감싸주던 다정했던 사람. 그러니까 미워하면 안 되겠지. 다시는 생각해서도 안 되겠지. 철없이 사랑인 줄 알았는데 이제는 잊어야 할 그때 그 사람. And here's the translation. The one I think of when it rains, the one who always had no words, hiding secretly the pang of love, the one who cried because he couldn't forget the person who left. Once in the car, he asked me, what is the saddest thing in the world? Saying that the sadder than love is attachment, the one who lowered his head. Playing guitar in a lonely hospital room, the loving one who was sweet and comforting. Without saying a single word of goodbye, would he be somewhere happy now? How can I think about it at least once, the one I want to see even now? Softly comes to my lonely heart, the one with warmth who always embraced me. That's why it's wrong to hate him. It's wrong even to think about it again. I thought it was ageless love, but the one I must forget now. So as I said, I will put the link below so you can enjoy the song and rhythm. This song has several interpretations. To guess the reason it became super hit, the reason why President Park liked it so much, well, We can have a whole new episode on this, but I would leave it up to you, your imagination to figure it out. The second song, Duman River song, altogether has a different level of importance in Korean history. In Reading Korean Rhythm series, we have done 2 episodes on the background of Duman River song. So if you're keen to learn more about it, have a look at the links in the description box below. In such sessions, besides the guest performers, everybody would be expected to join and contribute. Thus, when singer Shim Subong was done, she requested Security Chief Cha Ji-chul to sing next, as all others appeared way too serious or rather scary to ask. Security Chief Cha Ji-chul chose to sing 도라지타령 along with Nagane Sorum. 도라지타령 means bellflower, or also called balloon flower, and Nagane Sorum is wanderer's sadness. So this Nagane Sorum, it's a song that depicts the pain of wandering abroad during the Japanese colonial period. It gave a sense of loneliness and touched people's heart. The release of this song in 1940 brought enormous fame to singer Mr. Baek Yeon-sol throughout Asia, not just in Korea. Starting as a lyricist, he made his debut as a wandering theatre company in 1939 and released one big hit every year. Prior to assuming his third name, so this was his third name, Baek Yeon-sol, his original name was Lee Kap-nyong, which he changed to Lee Chang-min later on. His legacy is quite controversial, as some believe he collaborated with the Japanese government and sang many songs in their praise. But others think that in the colonial era, he succumbed to the pressure of the colonial masters and had to obey them despite his anger and hatred. The second song, 도라지타령, is one of the most popular folk songs in both North and South Korea, and also in China among the ethnic Koreans, or Chosunjok. It is also a well-known song in Japan by the name Toraji. While Security Chief Cha Ji-chul was singing, KCIA head Kim Jae-Kyu went out and returned swiftly. After Security Chief Cha Ji-chul finished singing, it was the turn of model Shin Jae-sun, and she opted for another popular song, 사랑해 당신을 정말로 사랑해, meaning I love you, I truly love you. This is, one of those anybody can sing anytime type of song. It has a very caring and loving tone. It reminds me of a Bollywood number, Tum kya jano tumhari yaad mein hum kitna roye. It's more or less similar. But the fact is, it did not fit in at all in the mood of the day. Now we come to the moment, the final moment. As she started singing, there was a mismatch with the rhythm of the guitar, as if it was the bad omen from the universe that something in the room was not in sync. So she was asked to restart the song, and this is exactly when KCIA Chief Kim Jae-Kyu shot the first bullet at Security Chief Cha Ji-chul, hitting his right wrist, and within few moments shot at the president's left chest. Unexpectedly shot, Security Chief Cha Ji-chul, in utter disbelief, shouted, "저 사람 왜 저래?" meaning, "What is this nonsense?" And pressing his heavily bleeding wrist, his impulse was to quickly run and hide in the washroom just behind him, instead of giving cover to the president, whose security was his sole responsibility in such eventualities. As suggested by singer Shim Subong, judging from his initial attitude, he did not seem to think that Kim Jae-Kyu was going to kill him. The shot at the president, ironically, was not noticed instantly. There are 2 reasons given for this. First, both shots were fired almost at the same time. And since everybody was still fixated on the first shot, none could imagine that Kim Jae-Kyu would shoot the president too. Second, the room was dimly lit, and the president, demonstrating the true spirit of a soldier, somehow managed to stay unwavered despite having been shot. During drinking sessions, President Park did not like to see guns in the dining room. and it was a safe house, so there was no possibility of any kind of danger inside. Thus, none was expected to have any gun. But now there was one, and it was in the hands of the one who had a plan. KCIA head Kim Jae-Kyu aimed at him again for the second shot, but the pistol got jammed. This was German Walter PPK .32 caliber semi-automatic pistol. PPK stands for Polizeipistol Model, or Detective Police Pistol. This pistol is said to be Hitler's favorite, and he used the same model in committing suicide. Call it its historical significance or notoriety. It has been frequently used in James Bond movies. So suddenly there was a blackout. KCIA head Kim Jae-Kyu went out and reappeared in the room in a blink, and that's when the light also came back. This part of the story is perhaps the most intriguing. Remember, there were only 4 men in the room. Singer Shim Soo-bong during investigation said Kim Jae-kyu가 차실장을 양의 종을 쏘았을 때 김키원은 그냥 아무 말도 없이 밖으로 나갔습니다. As soon as Security Chief Cha Ji-chul was shot, the Presidential Secretary Kim Ki-won, the former Army Chief, a 4-star general, the former KCIA head, did neither react nor stop Kim Jae-Kyu and fled from the scene swiftly. So from this point on, he was not a witness to anything else. There are different versions of this story. In a briefing known as Kungjongdong Manchanjang Chinshil, or the truth about the dinner place, Presidential Secretary Kim Ki-won told Kim Jong-pil, the third Kim, if you remember, there was a heavy verbal fight and scolding between KCI Chief Kim Jae-Kyu and Security Chief Cha Ji-chul. He aimed his pistol at Security Chief Cha Ji-chul, shouting abusive words before shooting him. And then he turned to President Park and did ditto. But singer Shim Soo-bong denied it completely. She maintained there was no such incident. In her book titled Sarang Bhakenan Mulla, meaning All I Know is Love, she writes, 김 부장이 대통령 앞에서 다른 장모들과 다툰다는 것은 상상도 할 수 없는 일이었어. It is unimaginable for KCA head Kim Jae-Kyu to argue with other staff members in front of the president. Come to think of it, it actually makes sense. If you can imagine that the decision of shooting must have been so overwhelmingly unnerving for KCI Chief Kim Jae-Kyu that he ensured to keep calm so that he could do properly what he intended to. Anyway, back to the scene. Recognizing the gravity of the situation, singer Shim Soo-bong quickly stood up to put her guitar away, and as soon as she turned back, she noticed model Shin Jae-sun was frantically asking the president, "괜찮으세요? Are you okay?" who by now had collapsed on the floor. Upon being asked repeatedly the same question, President Park, in an angry, stern and heavy tone, still managed to reply, "난 괜찮아. I'm okay." And these were the last words of President Park. As all this was happening, KCIA head Kim Jae-Kyu swiftly returned with a .38 revolver, Smith & Wesson Model 36, belonging to his subordinate Park Sun-ho. This revolver model is also known as Chief's Special. This is the same type that was used in the failed attempt to assassinate President Park earlier in 1974, but it killed the First Lady Yoo Kyung-soo instead. 5 years later, once again, it was used to assassinate him. Security Chief Cha Ji-chul was still in the washroom, so Kim Jae-Kyu chased him there and shot him again at his chest. Then he turned to President Park, who was bleeding profusely. He aimed at his head and shot, but by then, he was perhaps already dead. Hearing the gunshots, KCIA agent in the building like Park Sun-ho eliminated 2 presidential bodyguards in the waiting room, while other KCIA agents killed the remaining ones in the kitchen. So President Park, Security Chief Cha Ji-chul, 3 presidential bodyguards and a presidential chauffeur died in the whole incident. After killing President Park, KCIA Chief Kim Jae-Kyu asked Presidential Secretary Kim Ki-won to secure the safe house and rush to the nearby KCIA building where the Chief of Army Staff Chung Sung-ho was waiting for him. KCIA Chief Kim Jae-Kyu, citing an emergency situation, asked him to quickly accompany him in his car, and on the way informed that the president had died without any further explanation. They both went to the army headquarters. Back here at Ground Zero, Presidential Secretary Kim Ki-won took the body of the president to the army hospital and instructed the doctors to save him at all costs without telling who he was, and then met Prime Minister Che Gyu-ha to break the news. Once things seemed a bit calmed down, Park Sun-ho took the two women to the reception area, paid an honorarium, which is a sugobi, of 200,000 won each, which was a kind of like a big sum at the time, asked a subordinate to take them to the waiting room at the front building to wash their hands. That was around 10:30 p.m. And then finally they were dropped at the same New Neja Hotel around 11:30 p.m. from where singer Shim Soo-bong left for her home in her car after dropping model Shin Jae-sun at her place.
You are right calling it high voltage drama. Where did all this chaos lead to?
Well, this was far messier than it sounds at the moment, since it led to way too many questions than answers one could possibly think of, even till the date. Let me invite you to rejoin me in the fifth part of this episode to discuss the aftermath. See you very soon. This is Sanjay Sharma, and you are tuned to our special program, Reading Korea in Rhythm.